What's up, dudes? Welcome back to another episode of Rhomas Men's Team. Pretty simple. We are a group of guys helping each other make progress towards each other's goals. If you're new to the channel, awesome and welcome. If you want to help support the channel and join our pro team, head over to romasteam.com/pro, where you can contribute to us on a donation basis. We also give you access to exclusive content, mastermind groups, etc., etc. So anyway, hope you enjoy this episode, and we'll see you on the team.
We are live. What up, everybody?
What's up, dude?
Chilling, man. Chilling. I was telling you before we started, I'm on a wicked workout streak. Wicked workout and a wicked diet streak, dude.
Yeah, man, you're crushing it, dude.
Well, I hit 173 at one point this week.
Dude,
I went back up. I went back up just literally by like half a pound to 174, but I'm happy with it.
I can't stay off the chocolates, man.
I
love chocolates.
What kind of chocolates are you eating?
Dude, any dark chocolate. I can't. I haven't been spazzing out on it, but like definitely I eat a ton of vegetables every day. But my body over the last like 4 or 5 weeks has been like, let's do a little chocolate. And every single dinner I have a little chocolate. It's
funny you say that, actually. I've been eating, when I do the podcast, I got myself 100% dark chocolate. There's no sugar in it at all.
100%?
It almost tastes
that sounds
like
awful.
Liquor. It almost tastes like liquor. It's wicked.
Yeah.
I'll eat a little, I'll nibble on like pure dark chocolate because I'm avoiding the sugar.
Wow, that's crazy. The highest I've ever had is 92, and that's pretty wicked. I mean, that's like,
dude,
very bitter.
100% is like, nobody liked it. I brought it and everyone was displeased.
Of course, it tastes awful. It tastes like a foot or something, dude. It's got to taste terrible.
It's an acquired taste. I've started to enjoy it. But
I could see that. Yeah, humans have this weird thing. I've never researched it, but humans have this weird thing of bitterness and the adaptation of their taste buds to like pure bitter.
Yep.
You know, it's pretty. I put like obviously coffee in that category. I do it with green tea. It's almost like the more bitter, the better for me with green tea. Dark chocolate, same thing for a lot of people. Yeah, it's pretty wild.
Yeah, man, it's pretty. It's bizarre, man. It is kind of weird because I've been on I'm curious to look into the exact science of this, but I've had stuff. This is where my dietary kick partially is coming from. It's two-part. One of it is just kind of me kind of disciplining myself, just in like a spiritual context, which has been, and again, like I said last week or Monday, that's been the only thing that's worked to consistently keep me on a regimented diet.
And what is that?
Just like
the why.
The process. Oh, why it works?
What particular has worked? I spaced for a second.
So I've been doing it. I've approached not just dieting, but a lot of other things, like things I indulge my senses in. Mm-hmm. I've been able to kind of contextualize my efforts to avoid those in like a spiritual discipline sense, where it's like I'm trying to kind of master my desire to indulge my senses to the point where it's like, you know, not like it's a bad thing to have something sweet, but like I'm trying to really ratchet down that thing inside me that like makes me do things just unconsciously almost, if that makes sense.
Absolutely.
So it's worked for me. It's worked tremendously for me and I've enjoyed it. But the second part of the diet thing that I've been motivated in is, do you ever hear of leaky gut? I'd be curious to get your... So I believe, because I have all these weird intolerances to gluten, dairy now, and apparently they come from, whatever it is, it's a leaky gut thing. And I was even getting like acne around my belly, which they said is like it's a digestion issue as well.
It's adorable.
So I hate it, bro. It stinks. Yeah. So they say that, and I've been reading about this, and basically it's like avoid gluten, soy, dairy, and like processed food, sugar, blah blah blah. So that's been that's been kind of a motivation for the diet as well. Yeah, it's been working, dude. It's been working pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, I think what is it? I think it's like 1 out of 20. I think 1 out of 20 people can have adverse reactions to nightshades, and I think nightshades can start to irritate the gut and cause like a gut syndrome. I think something like that. So it's not actually. It's more rare than people think. Like I think a lot of people pick up those types of books and they're like, oh, that's 100% me just because the book said so. I'm never going to eat, eggplant again or whatever nightshades they're looking at. but yeah, I mean, it's like anything else. Test it. And if it's working, then absolutely. And especially if it's the origin of your now like winning streak on fitness and nutrition, then hell yeah.
Yeah, it's been helping, man. It's been pretty cool. And yeah, and again, and for me, it comes from like years of there's just stuff I eat that I'm just like, fuck, I feel like shit. And if like today, and that's the third and final thing I'll say in terms of the dieting is like I've really been pushing myself to the limit in terms of like seeing how much food I actually need. Dude, I think I was eating like 4 times of what I actually need to eat.
Oh, dude, don't even get me started on this topic.
It's insane. Dude, it's insane.
Yeah.
No, I literally went and did a full workout today. So just to give you a sense, I woke up, I didn't really eat much yesterday except a little bit here and there, and I'll eat like a dinner. And then today I wake up hungry. I'm hungry. I go to the gym, 1,000 jump ropes, bench press, do a little bit of chest exercise, nothing crazy, just something to get the blood pumping.
Yeah.
And then I walked 2.5 miles and came back and just ate a little bit of steak.
Yeah.
That's what I'm running on today. I feel fine.
Yeah.
It takes a minute for your body to adjust, though, before I get all lightheaded. So, pretty cool.
Yeah, here's the thing, and I heard this recently on another podcast or YouTube channel, and I'll pass it on to you guys. Because there's not a single person who I've talked to where I say, hey, how's your diet? Every single time they say some version of good or great, never horrible. Now, and that's okay, right? Like, this is not to harp on anybody who has a bad diet or who is overweight or anything like that. But because marketing has skewed our perception, right? The amount of people who've told me, oh, well, I barely eat anything and I'm gaining weight. It's like, really? You cracked the code. You like, they should put you in a lab because you solved world hunger, right? Like, Imagine if they could take that and give it to the kids who don't eat anything in developing world countries, right? Yeah. You somehow figured out a way to not eat something and gain weight simultaneously, right? This, when you put it like that, right, versus like a lot of marketing will say like, oh, it's because you have this issue and it's your metabolism and so on. And now, granted, metabolism is like anything else on the spectrum. Some people have super fast metabolism, other people won't have super fast metabolism. But that does not mean that you cannot eat food and gain weight, right? Like calories cause the weight gain. There is no other way to do it. It's literally impossible. It's just the degree to which you do it, and also the degree to which you can measure how you're doing it. Because most people have zero clue. And I've been weighing my food for I don't know, I haven't done it in the last like couple of years, but I weighed it for 2 decades almost, right? Like a decade and a half. And I still would have trouble. Like if you put a sweet potato in front of me, I would probably get it off by 20 to 30%. Yeah. That's a big deal. Or you're talking about hundreds of calories difference on just one thing, right? One thing potentially, right? Like one meal, let's say. So the average person who hasn't weighed their food has really no idea. Like I do this constantly. I think, what is it? You ever see those little Crustables lunch packs? Yeah. How many calories? I asked somebody how many calories.
Are you talking about the lunch pack, or are you talking about an Uncrustable?
Oh, sorry, Uncrustable, yeah.
So like a PB&J Uncrustable.
Yes. So, and the guys who are listening to this, see if you can guess how many calories are in an Uncrustable. I'm going to look it up. Uncrustable.
We got 650, we got 300. I'm going with like 440.
Oh, you guys are... No, that's way too much. Way too much. Let's see. Any other guesses? Yeah, Gunther was almost spot on. 210. So the point is, like, 600, 440, and so on. So let's say 440. You're 100% off.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. Whoever said 600, you're 300% off. So, and then obviously that's not as big of a deal, in my opinion, as underestimating the calories. But still, It is so difficult until you really understand food. Like, you look at, there's peanut butter in there. So that's why anybody who says like 100 calories, well, you're wrong because of the peanut butter in there. And peanuts, a lot of people don't even know this. Like, nuts have a tremendous amount of fat relatively. It doesn't mean it's bad. It's 9 calories per gram of fat. So all of a sudden, those people who think they're eating healthy, but they're chomping on 6 handfuls of nuts a day, where you're over consuming on calories most likely. So it's very difficult to just eyeball things and have an accurate perception.
Yeah, man. No, the thing that has me interested right now diet wise, and I like just researched it, and I don't know that I'm gonna do it to like a T, because a lot of it, it's like you buy our meal plan, blah blah blah. But there's an idea of like a fasting mimicking diet. Have you ever heard of that?
Mimicking.
Yeah, it's not intermittent fasting. It's called a fasting mimicking diet. So it's like, you're over a 5-day period. All it is you're just severely reducing your calories. Not even severely. You're eating like 1,000 calories over a 5-day period, but those calories are composed mostly of fats and carbohydrates with like a little bit of protein. And it's supposedly this guy claims that he said that mimics the effects of a 5-day fast, but you're still sliding yourself some nutrients.
Did you say 5-day? Like you're not going to eat anything except for 1,000 calories over 5 days?
Yeah. No. A day.
Oh.
So it's like it's called technically. No, Jesus Christ! It's called fasting mimicking.
Yeah. Respectfully, I think that guy's wrong. But
Yeah. What would you say about it? I'm curious.
Well, I think fasting seems to me pretty binary. Like the very definition of fasting is you're not consuming calories.
Yeah.
So you're
just selling a weight loss program, then you're saying?
Well, I mean, it doesn't mean it couldn't work. I definitely think the name is 100% marketing. I mean, and he probably figured out some linguistic gymnastics to explain why. It's like, but if you talk to a biologist and you say, hey, what is fasting? They're going to say non-consuming of calories. Or like, this is, it seems like a pretty solid term to me. But I mean, I could definitely see there being benefit in, if for nothing else than mental training, and then also obviously for weight loss.
Yeah.
Right. That's why anybody who says, "Oh, I gain weight even though I don't eat anything," it's like, okay, really don't eat anything. Eat 0 things and drink water for 3 days, and show me that you have gained no weight.
Yeah.
Right. Or I'm sorry, show me that you've gained weight.
Yeah, man. No, I agree. That's why I kind of saw, as soon as I saw it was attached to a meal plan, I was like, yeah, I don't want to spend 200. It's like, it does seem like a diet, and it is like, it is linguistic. It's fasting mimicking. I like the idea of like if here's the thing, if I do a strict fast, it like just literally zaps my energy, and like I want to still work out and do all that other stuff. So it is kind of, for me, it's a nice sweet spot of like having like marathon days of like severely restricting my calories, still eating just enough to get by. Mm-hmm. And then like that, for me, I've enjoyed that process of like throwing that in the mix.
Mm-hmm. You will very likely, I don't know how long this takes, but essentially your body will recalibrate to burn less calories, which is completely understandable. Like when you go on an all veggie diet or consume a lot of veggies where you naturally reduce your caloric intake, eventually your body is an adaptation mechanism, a tool, so it will reduce its caloric burn throughout the day, which a lot of people point at that and they over exaggerate it. They're like, oh, if you eat a bunch of vegetables or whatever, like you restrict your calories, your body's going to burn less. It's like, okay, yeah, like that's a normal thing. It's not going to be 0. It's not going to say, well, I need to burn 0 calories throughout the day. It might knock a couple hundred calories, and that's all. I would assume that's only if you do it for an extended period of time. And to almost which, like, if you are compliant to that sort of diet to begin with, right, or for that long period of time, then your body's adapted because you've forced it to adapt, which meaning you're doing a good job on the diet, in my opinion.
Gotcha. No, that makes sense. Dude, Troy also said he's reading The Complete Guide to Fasting so he can do a pretation next Friday. That would be awesome, man. That would be awesome. But yeah, that's kind of my overarching point, really, is like, a year ago would have been like, oh, I can't work out if I'm this hungry. And I would have went there and been, oh my God, I'm so dizzy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, your body, like you were saying, Wes, man, it is an adaptation machine. And the thing I was reading that I agree with the one article I was reading about, whatever, the fasting mimicking diet thing is, and we've talked about this before, is like we weren't really designed to be sedentary within a space that provided high calorie foods on demand.
Oh yeah.
So it's like, our body's designed to like have high calorie foods with long periods of like extreme, let's just say physical exertion, which, by today's standards would be extreme, and without food. So it's like, that's something I would tell people. It's easy. You save money and it's good for you. It's like it's a non-issue. Everyone, and I think you would agree with this, obviously. I think you've said this. Everyone thinks they're going to like get their weight loss and get their health by just like more stuff. Like I need more amino acids. I need more L-tryptophan, whatever they throw at you. And it's like, just stop eating for like a day. Like see where you're at, So.
Yeah, I can tell you, I stopped all supplements, probably like 4 or 5 years ago. Never looked back. And I used to take multiple protein shakes a day, creatine. I mean, you and I both during one period of our lives. I don't miss them at all. And I feel way better than I ever have relative to that genre in my life. So I think a lot of that stuff's marketing. No offense to anybody who's taking it, and I definitely think it works. But I could also tell you 100% of the guys on our bodybuilding team, 0 supplements.
Really?
Like, except for pre-workout. Well, pre-workout and steroids, right? Those were the 2 things. But it tells you a lot, that the fact that they're not like consuming a bunch of protein shakes, they're not drinking a bunch of, creatine, they're not having BCAAs, none of that stuff. And then we're talking about hundreds of athletes who are literally stepping on the Olympia stage. So it's really interesting, but they always, I was not at that level, clearly. These are guys who are doing it professionally, but I could tell you the amount of sponsorships that they had, right? It was insane.
Oh, I see what you're saying. So they weren't even taking them, but they're selling all the powders.
Correct.
And stuff.
Yeah. And they might take it a little bit like in the off season, but never during prep, literally ever. It explicitly stated in our plan from our coach, none of this, right? None of this bullshit. Yep.
Wow.
Which is the exact opposite of what you would have thought.
That's interesting. I never knew that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fun.
crazy.
Yeah. No, I agree. I don't think, I genuinely don't think that stuff's necessary. And what is like creatine? Doesn't creatine just make you just amass water weight? Kind of.
Yeah, well, essentially, like from my novice understanding, because it can get pretty technical, let's just say it optimizes energy output of muscular endurance and lifting heavier weights. And then, yes, it also does help you retain water, which would give you like the visual of being a little bit more bulky, depending on what type of body composition you're looking for. So, for instance, like I would have, when I was taking creatine, I would have never taken creatine to look like I was, below 6% body fat, right? You'd probably retain too much water, from my understanding. But I've never taken it at that level. I stopped taking creatine years ago.
It'll buffen you up a little.
Yeah.
So, yeah, man. Well, yeah, that was my only little spiel. It's like that's something I'm excited about, that I've been, again, whenever I can push myself to the like limits that I had before, like firmly in place of like, well, I can't go beyond that, and then you go beyond them. It's like, oh, well, that's nice. Yeah.
So. The body's capacity is so much higher than people think it is.
Yeah.
Than a lot of people think. I think Navy SEALs prove this. They probably take it overboard. Actually, I'm sorry. They do take it overboard if you ever read like a Navy SEAL book. But it's absolutely unbelievably outstanding how far the body can go.
Yeah.
No,
absolutely, man. But yeah, so that was my spiel on that. I'm pretty happy with that. That's been, again, a positive development in terms of being able to, I wouldn't say effortlessly kind of like lose weight and this and that, and but it's been fun to kind of really see, like with my phone, literally every single thing I kind of use as kind of like my mindless pleasures, diet, phone time, screen time. What am I doing? I've been able to really start chipping away at that stuff in a way that I think that's pretty cool.
Awesome. Yeah, and if any of the dudes, I would love to hear from any of the dudes who have done projects or anything, or started projects as a result of our discussion not too long ago, if they have it. Because I can say just a bit about, you mind if I riff off this topic real quick?
Yeah.
Again, just reminding people, like if you're taking yourself and your career, particularly in my opinion, your career, and mastery of it, how much are you reinvesting back into your career? I just put another $5,000 into a course, and I'm only sharing that with you guys because I wish somebody would have told me earlier on what commitment looks like in terms of your career, if that makes sense. Yeah. Like when I see Delco Jim and all the commitment that he's making, he's working a full-time job, plus then he's going out to comedy clubs like multiple times a night, if not every night. Like what commitment actually looks like, because oftentimes people don't really understand what commitment looks like, especially in terms of the mastery of their job.
No, I agree, man. Absolutely. What wanting to kind of excel in certain spheres, but still thinking you're owed all of these various creature comforts that like take up almost, a huge portion of your day that could be spent doing other stuff.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Well, and then investing in accelerated learning. Like I paid $5,000. I could probably have picked out like certain things on YouTube and on the internet and all this kind of stuff and aggregated it myself and done it myself, definitely. But I'm paying for two things. I'm paying for the aggregation and the consolidation and the synthesis I don't know how to say that right.
I think it's
right?
synthesization.
Synthesizing, right, of the information, so it's right in front of me, so I can consume it in the most effective way. Then after that, I'm also paying for the connections that the course is bringing because it's kind of a live course and so on. So I would just throw it out to the guys. If you're taking your career seriously, when's the last time you invested in it? Right? And like, you don't have to necessarily answer that out loud, but you might want to think about that.
Yeah. No, I hear you, man. That is a humongous deal of like signing up for courses versus just like, or, you know, equipment with anything. If you have a,
yeah, it doesn't matter what it is.
If you have a contracting company, like what's that tool you always think of that, you know, you're like, one day, you know, whatchamacallit. There's, I never can remember the name of this thing. It's a painting thing. It's like a power sander. Festool. And it like, you can literally, when I'd work with Andrew, he'd be like, oh man, one day and then he bought it one day and it like, dude, it allows him to do so much work, so much more efficiently. It's like a dust-free operation. It's pretty crazy. And you're like, you know, blah, blah, blah. So that's something I got to hear all the time, honestly, of myself. Like I still get that like clutchy thing of like, well, it's not ready yet, not yet. But it's like, yeah, it's something I want to kind of revisit myself as well. Yeah.
What is your budget for reinvestment back into the business?
Honestly, right now, I don't really know what I need to invest in, but I set aside, I think $250 a month into an account that I don't think about. When time comes that I need to do something, I will have something there.
Yep.
So, yeah.
And is it psychologically easy for you when you pull the trigger from that account?
No, I haven't touched it.
Yeah.
But I was going to do a kind of a more expensive training, more on kind of like the psychology side to kind of like just ramp up that side of stuff. But the timing genuinely was bad. And then I got a strange sense. I think I talked about that before. The person was really like, yeah, do my training. And then I was just kind of like, I should do a little more research. Like genuinely, I should research this because I could like, rather than like dropping all the money to do the training, I could do a session of this kind of thing and genuinely see if I like it first. Again, the timing was just fucking horrendous. So
if you had to guess how much you've invested into yourself, what would you think it's been? And I would say counting how much you've personally paid for school and equipment and so on.
Oh man. School was $64,000. So there's that. In terms of equipment, I don't know, man. I've bought so much. I have like 3 of these little things. Like these things are all like $200 a piece. You just buy them because you need them. In terms
what
of
is
equipment, it's a little task. It's a little recorder for like live audio.
Oh yeah.
I don't know, man. To tell you the truth, I don't know. It's got to at least been like $100,000.
Oh yeah.
Just shit over the time, easily.
Yeah. I think.
Go ahead.
Oh, so good.
Sorry.
No,
the trick is the thing I need to do is be conscious of it, because you can unconsciously go through school and all that other stuff, but like really be like, what is this thing going to genuinely do for me? I think it's cool. Like, what is this going to do? And that's something I think about a lot.
Yeah, if I had to guess, I am probably at like the 350,000 mark, somewhere in that category. Now, that I do think there's a direct correlation with the amount of investment into yourself and progress in career. I know people who spend literally a couple $100,000 a year on coaching, and they make many millions of dollars. Actually, one of my clients right now, he spends $70,000 a year just for one coach. And this year, that coach took him from, he was making $500K a year, and 3 years ago, this year he'll make $5 million. Jesus. And when I talk to him, I say, would you recommend the coach? He's like, yeah, that's why I'm here. Right. So it's that level of seriousness. And there is no, okay, well, first let me see the results, then I'll invest. Right. Because that's like saying, well, first give me the crop, then I will plant the seed. Yeah. It just doesn't work like that. And you kind of have to trust in the process. And also you will get screwed somewhere along the way. Like you will buy a shitty coach, you will buy a shitty course, you will buy something shitty and not act on it or whatever, right? Like, but that is no excuse for not reinvesting back in yourself, in my opinion.
Dude, I agree, man. Because again, it sounds like, someone would say, oh, that's easy for you because you have money, blah, blah, blah. But then it's like,
oh, dude, I did it when I didn't have money.
I know. And it's also like, people hear those numbers and go, and like get sticker shock.
Yeah.
But then it's like, all right, let's run through the finances. How much have you spent at bars? How much have you spent on entertainment? How much have you spent? And you start, those numbers start to add up to the point where it's eye popping. You go, oh my God, like what the fuck? And so it's like, yeah, what is like the most basic level certificate, anything? And it's like, well, you know, that number, even if it was $1,000, like I don't have $1,000. It's like, well, let's see what you spent $1,000 on this year. And typically it's like, oh, shit, fuck.
Yep.
You know, so yeah, man, it's like, it is funny. It's like a lot of people, and I include myself in this, you almost assume like you have this right to live like a, you know, by any other standards of any other time, like a king. It's like entertainment on demand. It's like bring me the richest, most
whiskey,
delicious foods. Yes, bring me an intoxicant now. You know, and everyone's like, no, that's, if you don't have that, like that's bullshit. But it's like I swear to God, I feel like there is something to be said with learning how to completely just throw those things away in pursuit of something better than them, and then you can bring them back once you reassembled yourself. If you want all those things, like they're right there for you. But like just having those things, they start to, in my opinion, this is what happened to me. You start to lose interest in all those sensory pleasures that once kind of like, you know, defined your existence, and that becomes pretty shitty, because then those things, like now you need to drink 4 times more liquor. Now, like, you know, every movie you watch kind of seems the same, or this or that, or and then that can be kind of for me, that can be kind of a scary place to be, where it's like, fuck.
Yeah. I would have an interesting question to pose to guys, which would be, how much money do you spend on alcohol or any vices, let's just say, and, you know, call it your vice investment. Maybe try for a month or a few weeks or even longer, obviously the better, if instead of investing in that vice, you invested in yourself. You took some sort of course, and it doesn't matter if it's career or not. That'd be pretty interesting to think through. Like, what do you think the average would be for somebody spending on their vices, like alcohol? Delco Jim said weed. Would it be $50 a week, $100 a week? What do you think would be fair?
I would say, yeah. I mean, if you're smoking like a half ounce of weed every 2 weeks, which I think there's a decent amount of people who do that. That's, you know, it's like $400 a month.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, think about that, right? $400 a month. That's wild.
Yeah.
So let's call it, what do you think's fair? $5,000 a year for vices, probably a little more, somewhere in there.
Yeah.
That's a lot of fucking money.
I mean, alcohol, that's a couple $100 a weekend. So alcohol is a tricky one, because then alcohol is the dinner you have out, the pizza you order, you kind of half remember at nighttime, the big brunch everyone does, to like for kind of recuperate.
Yeah,
alcohol is expensive, bro, because it's like it's so. Dude. It includes so much other shit. But yeah, weed creeps up on people as well, man. Weed is like, I think you could calculate both of them, depending. Some people, I guess, are lighter users of everything, but like the average person, I think, is spending $400 a month on just intoxication.
Oh boy, yeah. I mean, that is wild.
There's a social component built into it, and with the alcohol stuff, and I guess the weed too. But yeah, man. So yeah, I'd be curious to like how to kind of cut back on that, and you know, again, like you were saying, Wes, even if it's just like join a better gym. I used to get sticker shocked on yoga. I'm like, $99 a month. I'm like, what? And it's like, but then you think about it, and you're just kind of like, yeah, it's just like, I guess I could do that.
Oh, dude, the amount of guys that I tell, my friends back in Philadelphia, who I easily spend $300 a month on gyms. They're like, what? Like, how in the world could you do that? It's like, dude, you're drinking whiskey right now at 10 a.m. at Nick's Roast Beef, in Springfield. Like, how much do you think that costs? And they call themselves the 10 a.m. crew. So every single Saturday, they're there just knocking them back at 10 a.m. And that's not the only time they're spending on alcohol. So they're $600 a month, which I would almost guarantee they're spending on vices, versus my $300 to $350 a month on gyms. I'll take the gym every day of the week. And I'm not pounding my chest. This is not to come off egotistical. But just purely look at objectively, where are you spending money on vices, and could you change that, at least for a temporary time, like Delco Jim saying he's not drinking anymore right now, right? Where can you spend it to multiply that benefit? Not only get the benefit from not drinking, but then the benefit, or whatever it is, but the benefit from the upside of whatever you're starting to master.
Yeah, dude, I totally agree. And to kind of just clarify a certain point that you're making is like that. I think that you're saying is like, yeah, none of this is like a wagging finger thing. It's like, for the most part, I think it's pretty well accepted that it's just the results of 40 years of spending a huge share of your money on getting drunk. I typically feel like people aren't happy with those results. It's like, you know, whether they're like decreased health, liver problems, the fact that, like, you know, when they say like you're pissing money away, like no one's ever like, man, sweet. I mean, and if there are people who are genuinely like, that brings me so much joy and happiness, like I love the fact that I dedicate it. Okay, cool, go do that. That's, you know, good for you. But for the most part, you catch people going, damn it, why did I do that? Why did I waste all that money on alcohol? I'm dealing with all these serious health problems, when in reality, you know, I was told like if I drank it would like actually help my health and blah, 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 all that other shit.
Right.
So it's like, yeah, none of this is all, and I try to do everything I do at this point. This is from a functional perspective. This is what genuinely works and what genuinely seems to not. And it's like, I couldn't imagine for me, like, and again, I am, it's just, luckily I'm not really drawn to alcohol like that. Again, I can have it here and there, but it's like, I can really take it or leave it, to be honest. Like, if I'm being 100% honest, I can really take it or leave it. But it's like, dude, for those things, it's like, yeah, even with the weed, I can talk from experience. Yeah, but like, you know, it helps me creatively, it helps me, calms me to this, blah, 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 blah. Okay, cool. And I'm sure there's, you know, weed's a tricky one too, because it literally does have anti-cancer properties, anti-tumor property. Like it's, you know, it's kind of tricky in that regard. But it's like, you can also learn how to reduce your stress without those things. And I used to laugh at the meditation guys who'd be like, oh, you don't need weed. Like, literally, you can have it if you want it, but like, why would you do that? And I would say, if you're constantly thinking in ways that ramp yourself up, and like weed's your only way out of that, it's like, okay, that's cool, and I'm not judging that, but you can learn how to face those things that are ramping you up and deconstruct those in a way where you can almost, I'm at the point too, I can take or leave weed. Like, if it's around, great. I think it's a great thing. I like it. But it's like, there's a thing in Buddhism, they talk about abusing your passions, where like you can have a thing and like it, but it's like if you're abusing it to the point where like it's kind of clouding you from doing other things, that's a problem.
Yep.
So it's like, and this being able, I think it comes with age too, as long as you kind of keep yourself oriented towards like constant self-improvement. For me, it was by no means, and is still by no means, like a everything snapped in place, glorious transition. It's fucking hard, dude. And like, there's a 6-month lag between when I say, like, I was here 6 months ago trying, like, oh, I'm going to try to eat this way, I want to do this. It takes me, I swear to God, it takes me like 4 months of just constant personal failure on a daily level to reach a point where I'm like happy with what's going on, if that makes sense. Whether it be like disciplining myself around the gym, around meditation. Dude, I wanted to meditate every day for, I don't know, 10 years. I couldn't figure out how to organize my day in a way to do that. And it's like, again, I still miss days here and there. So the point is like, dude, these kind of things, like, they take a while. They're imperfect, but it's like, you can really kind of start to set the process off that kind of, you're able to tell yourself everything's okay rather than depending on all these external things. And it's hard to do, but it's totally possible.
Yeah, and to your point earlier, Matt, it's no different than if we were all performing at a sport and we're meeting in the locker room, and I know that you're drinking every night. As a fellow teammate, I would say, hey, like, number one, for your own benefit, you know, knock it off if you can. But then also, too, for the team's benefit, we will go out there and score more points together if you're more optimal. Like, there is no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
Yep.
So it's not a judgment thing. It's like, let's get all of our asses in gear and try to point true north, because that's how we win a championship. And then to Troy's point earlier, he was saying that, you know, he was considering not spending money on these things so he can save up money to go to, I think he said, like a cold therapy place. Yeah, the answer is absolutely. Like, give it a try. So if you're a little nervous about what you're going to spend on those cold saunas or whatever the hell it is, just try it for a month. Go do it. I guarantee you, like, you'll come back and say, like, I'm ridiculously happy that I did that.
Yeah, man. Absolutely.
I could tell you, when I invested in the gym, I thought it was crazy. I'm like, oh, I'm about to spend $200 a month on one gym. And I am a member at multiple gyms now, but I remember I was like, oh man, I'm going to regret this. And the reality is, like, I did it and it was phenomenal. I've never looked back. Right? The gym is absolutely outstanding. I have the best time ever. Matt's been there with me. It's like a freaking resort. I'm way happier than I ever have been walking out of a bar.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And again, I think a lot of My problem around like kind of like self-investment stuff would come from I didn't have a solid understanding. I wasn't like Ray was saying, he's trying to budget. I didn't budget. So I would just kind of pray to God my credit card. Like I would just spend money in ways that, you know, I'm like not going crazy, but there's not a system to my finances. It's just like, I think if I just do this stuff, nothing bad will happen. But then it's like, but I don't have a clear objective picture of like, oh, I could totally afford an extra whatever it is, like here at this or that. But it's like, you know, so I think taking like a more, this is how much I'm spending for this, and like just sitting yourself down, first of all, like this is how much I'm making right now. Here's all these things I want to do. What would I need to make to do all these things? And then like, you know, we were saying with Saad last week of like taking a regimented approach to like moving yourself toward that, because the majority of people do a thing where they go, I don't make enough money. And then they just go, and that they just stop there. Like, this is bullshit. And it's like, okay, it might be bullshit, but it's like, you know, that's one approach you can stop at. And then what happens, you see other people doing things you want to do, and you're just like, well, I'll just ridicule that person because that makes me feel bad when they do that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, you can stay there, or it's like, all right, I'm not making enough money. This is bullshit. What are what is coming up to make me feel like I don't make enough money? What are the things I'm not able to do? And like, how much do they cost? And how much money would I actually need to be able to do those? And how does this happen?
Yep.
I mean, dude, it's just such a tiny little switch of mindset, because you can just literally, you're outside, you're at the work. You know, I don't know why I always prey on people who are outside smoking cigarettes at jobs. It always comes up to my mind, and it's like you're out there and you're going like, yeah, this is fucking bullshit, dude. Did you hear about fucking the senator of Kentucky? Yeah, dude, fucking asshole. I hate that guy. This sucks. Yeah, this does fucking suck. All right, let's go eat pizza. Okay, cool. You're going to get drunk tonight? Yeah, let's get drunk. And you wake up with a hangover and you're like, man, I feel like shit. Nah, I gotta go to work. And like, dude, it's just, people never pop off that. People don't get off that train, man. And it's like, I'm not saying that to be a fucking asshole, but it's like, there's a thing that like you can, I don't know, it just switches on inside of people where they go, I need to figure something out, and then go ahead and actually do it, rather than staying on that merry-go-round of just resentment, you know, projecting things on other people, and just not owning the fact, not taking ownership of your situation.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. So my partner, he's from where Matt and I are originally from, almost, and he's 78 years old now, and literally, there was a period of time where he was raising his kids, so he did not go back to Philadelphia for 30-ish years, something like that, right? So to find his friends, right, they fly back to Philadelphia, you know, for like some sort of like family reunion or something. And he's like, oh, I want to go and find my friends. And his wife was like, okay, well, why don't you call them? He's like, I don't have any of their phone numbers. She's like, well, how are you gonna find them? He's like, oh, I know exactly where they'll be, right? He's like, I'm going to go to the bar, and, you know, this one guy's named Heavy Duty, right, is his nickname, because everybody has nicknames. Right? Sick. Yeah. He's like, Heavy Duty will be in this seat over here. And she's like, Dave, that was 30 years ago. He's like, trust me. And he went, and they were there. They were, like, he barely recognized them because they obviously changed the way they looked, right, like over time, and they're drinking alcohol every day. But literally, that's where they were. That's how he reconnected with his friends. That bar is like the physical Facebook of that particular town, right? Like, that's just where people congregate. So you could imagine, right? So anyway, to your comment earlier and Ray's comment, I would, again, not formal financial advice. If it were me, I have noticed that very few people can actually maintain a budget if it's just on paper and they write it out. It's like, oh, I've got $1,000 in my bank account. I'm going to only spend this much and this much and this much. What I have
I'll say it for you, Wes. Capital One 360, dude.
Yeah.
This is not. Yeah. I'm not giving it either, but that worked wonders for me.
Yeah, exactly. So bucketizing your money, but the more important bucket, if not the most important bucket for spending habits, is only spend from a checking account that only has, like, that's the only debit card you'd have. No credit cards, nothing else. And then, yes, everything else goes in Capital One 360. You have multiple buckets, at least for me, multiple buckets, etc. But the main thing is, instead of keeping all of your lump sum cash in one account, where when you look at that, it's like, oh, should I buy this beer, or should I buy this big fancy meal? And you see that you have $3,000 in there, right? The meal size is minuscule relative to the account size, but the account size is your whole account, right? So you chop that account, you know, enormously. So bring it down to $1,000 every time. That's the max out. Let's say I let my checking account get. For me, it's $3,000. For you, it might be something different. Doesn't matter what it is, but the important thing is it's a fraction of what you have. And I can tell, I've been doing that for myself for a decade and a half now at this point, and it still works. If I'm about to buy something at like Lululemon or something, I look at my checking account and it's like, oh, I don't really want to do that, even though there's however much other money elsewhere. Just my psychology attaches like that's my limit.
Well, the thing I love about that too is like, because again, like you were saying, like we have long-term plans, we have things like, you know, maybe we want to take a vacation, we want to take a trip, maybe we want to kind of invest in ourselves eventually. When it's all in one account, like you were saying, it's like, oh, time to go out to dinner and get wings and, you know, do all this stuff, or, you know, buy like a fancy fucking like, you know, electric scooter or something crazy, which, you know, I'm not knocking those things are cool, but I do the same thing. I pop that account up all in one thing and go, oh, baby, I got this. But when you, to all of your kind of goals or hopes or dreams or things that you desire, when you take those things and put up separate little funds for each one of those, it literally, dude, that's why I love this. It makes you think completely different about spending and even about planning, because you're like, dude, it makes me excited to be like, you know, $100 here to look at that vacation fund, and then it comes time to do it, and it's like, yes, like I've saved for that specifically, and now I don't feel bad about spending it. I'm not like, rather than dealing with this lump of money that's like kind of attached to your like self-perception and self-worth, it's like just spread it all out across those little buckets. And then dude, the psychology of that, I don't know what, it's such a simple fucking thing, dude. It works so well for me to just be like, well, this thing goes to that. Like with the fucking wedding, we had a plan for that wedding. We had 2 years ago, we had the wedding account. So we've been saving for that for years and years. And, you know, it's just like, it's so useful. And then it's like, that's over with. Now we can just like, all right, what are we going to, we'll put that towards vacation. We'll put this towards like, you know, gym stuff, home improvement, whatever. And like, dude, it's such a simple thing to do.
Oh, yeah. And you can have a ritual around it. Like I've done this before, where it's like every week or every other week or every month, you sit down with your girlfriend or with your wife and you say like, hey, here are the goals that we have. Let's take ourselves out to a nice little dinner and let's actually do the thing. So you build a cool, fun ritual around it. And literally, I mean, like I've done this before. We go out to dinner and we go to an awesome place, like overlooking the water or something like that. So we feel that vibration, right, of wealth and of growth and all that kind of stuff. And yes, of course, that costs a little bit of money, but it's nothing in comparison to like actively, okay, here's the night where we're going to transfer $1,000 into this, $1,000 into this, $100 into this. And then you're right, Matt, before long, you look back like, oh shit, like where'd all this money come from? It's pretty crazy.
Yeah. And there's something too, again, like, because I think when you're saying that, you're kind of rewarding yourself for taking a conscious approach to like money, finances, and life, all that stuff. Like it's all one bundle, but you know, you can kind of bucketize pretty much everything, kind of like, just so it's more manageable. It's like, you know, what are you going to do in life? I don't know. Like, that's a hard question to answer. Be like, well, how are you going to approach finances? How are you going to approach your career? How are you going to approach health? How are you going to? It's like, well, I can take one of those at a time and give you an answer for those, and then, you know, sum those all up. So it really does. It kind of separates everything in their like component parts or whatever, and then the same way you're consciously, you know, this isn't all just self-negation. This is my whole point to what you're saying. It's not all self-negation. It's you know, it's like you're consciously doing that, you know, avoiding certain things, but you also have to take time to consciously reward yourself. You know, that's why you're saying you go out and you say, hey, we save money up. Let's go enjoy ourselves and just submit ourselves to like a, you know, an aesthetically pleasing environment with like nicer food. Like let's enjoy that. You know, it's not like, there's a difference between like giving yourself that as a reward versus being like, I'm only going to eat this kind of stuff and putting yourself into the poorhouse through just trying to like upkeep an image that you genuinely can't afford. So.
Oh, dude, and I can tell you, I've done it a lot of times without spending any money. Or like we'll go to a Starbucks, or like we'll go to a place out here in California that overlooks the water. It's a park. It's free. So I'd hate for somebody to hear that and say, oh, well, if on my saving money journey, I then have to go and reward myself by spending money. It's like, no, you just make sure it's intentional, that you start to train your brain that this is a rewarding experience. And dude, when you get on that track, you know, it's crazy how much you accomplish, whether it be with finance or fitness or relationships.
Yeah, and I agree too. It's like you can go to like the park. There's a restaurant I found in the middle of the Wissahickon Park that's just like in the woods. It's fucking crazy.
Nice.
So it's like, yeah, we can go somewhere there. Like, just find a place. We go to the place called the Cosmic Cafe, and we go there. We haven't been there in a while, but it's like a regular diner, but it just happens to be placed right on the Schuylkill River, and you can sit there and like feed the birds and shit. It's nice. So.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Totally agree.
Yeah, man.
Dudes,
I love it.
Let's wrap it up. It's 12. Who should we do of the week?
So I got to give a lot of credit to Delco Jim. I think he said he just got his first paycheck from the bank that he's working at now. I mean, DJ just crushes it. If you look at his progress from, now probably a couple years ago up to today, where he's following his dream, he's separated himself, from my understanding, from maybe some toxic friendships, relationships he's had in the past, to doing whatever it takes, like working at Starbucks and then upping his game and now working at a bank, and while still pursuing his dream of being a stand-up comedian. I got to throw his name in the hat just because he said he's got his new paycheck, or his first paycheck.
Hell yeah. Also, I think Mike Gibbons, he put a thing on the Discord. I think he got some sort of sale. I wasn't really clear what it was. He just put a receipt up. So I'll toss Gibbons up there.
Yeah, and I saw Jordan shaved his beard, which I would almost assume is symbolic of some sort of transformation. If any of the guys saw that on the Discord, it seemed pretty cool.
Oh, he bought a pallet. Oh, Gibbons bought a pallet jack. Did Jordan shave his beard, or I think he posted a picture when he was shaved, and then
interesting.
Yeah, he showed a picture when he was half. From what I saw, that was an old pic, and he was showing himself in his full glory. So he actually is fully bearded and looking jubilant.
Oh, is he? Let's see
Yeah.
from this guy. Oh, interesting.
And also
Cool,
Daniel's
okay.
got the lead in the school play. That's pretty fucking big as well, bro.
Hell yeah! What play is it?
I'd be curious as well. All right. What we're going to do...
Dude, acting is hard, bro.
Acting's fucking hard as hell, dude. Here we go. We got the polls up. Troy, Delco Jim, Mike Gibbons, Jordan, Austin Daniels, the Rainmaker. That's pretty sick.
Sweet.
Oh, and Mike Gibbons bought a pallet. What is it? A pallet jack or something? So, either way, that's self-investment for sure. All right, Rose. Oh, also too, while we're doing this, in terms of the week, and again, I really encourage people to kind of like get active. God bless you. Get active in this role of it too.
Did you hear that?
Yes.
Really? I thought I muted it.
You did not.
Sorry.
That's all good. The thing I really like about this is doing that thing where you set up, like, here's what I'm going to get done this week. Here's what I actually got done, and it's I basically hit all my points. Besides, I didn't finish the rough draft of the psych null thing I'm doing, but I've been making progress in it that I'm very happy with. So it's just not going as fast as I like, but the quality's there. So in terms of the week, I did everything I said I was going to do, which makes me happy. And I came up with a good idea for the Patreon of Matt and Shane's podcast, where I'm doing something of like a book club kind of thing, where it's
Hell yeah.
I'll be kind of like reading books, taking notes, and kind of giving people almost like Blinkist approach to certain books.
I love it, dude.
And then, that way people can read it as well, and, we can chat and all that shit. So
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Excited about that.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you. First book I picked.
Dude, that's not good.
Oh, the fact that you think you're muted and you're not?
Yeah,
that's
this
horrible.
is not good. This is not good. No, this is historically not good. I can tell you that for sure. Shit.
Yeah, definitely not. Definitely, that's good. That's good you know that now. Yeah, look at dickhead.
I've been using it for a long time.
For the first book, dude, I picked a 700-pager, which is a mistake, but I'm excited about it.
Hell yeah, awesome.
All right,
I love the idea of book clubs.
Yeah, man. Oh, dude, it'd be awesome. Delco Jim.
Yeah, that's understandable.
And I believe Delco Jim he has to be up for a shirt. Ray, your shirt is crazy. The Canadian government just hit me up. It got rerouted. It's literally right on my breakfast bench. Look, Ray. I've given it to Brittany, dude, but it's my wife's fault. All right, no, I'm kidding. It's genuinely my fault. I'll bring it down. I will bring it down. I got that. I got you. It's made. I made it, dude. All right. It did go to Afghanistan, right? You're absolutely right. But yeah, dudes. Well, yeah. Hey, I'm gonna go prepare my lunch and we'll just prepare our lunch. You can put to bed and.
All right, dudes. Have a great freaking weekend. And Matt, I will see you next week.
Yes, you will. And Troy too. I will. I'll also take you. Whatchamacallit? I will take you up on that report on fasting for Friday. So
sweet. Let's do it.
All right.